What's up, everybody, and welcome to ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news. I'm Drew Bosley. You can find me on Twitter at ArtisticGamer28, and that's the one, the only Scott Savage. You can find him on Twitter at Savage. Scott, what's happening today, buddy?
Oh, I'm trying to plan out my week, get settled into a nice long week of games.
There you go. What are you playing?
Just like every week that's past this year, actually.
Solitaire? Is that what you're doing? Solitaire again?
I am on solitaire, I feel like I need to escalate that just a little bit up, but I'm having fun with solitaire. Who would have thought?
Not me. I'll give you honest.
Still achievements to grind.
That's what's got you, right? But what we got everybody for is joining us live over on twitch.tv/the official ITG, as well as YouTube at ITG Reviews at 11 a.m. Eastern. But if you can't join us live, hit us up later inside the game.ca podcast services and TV streaming networks around the globe. Scott, coming up on today's show. New see-through view and broadcasting options for PlayStation VR2 details have emerged. Even the Skull and Bones devs themselves are not confident in their game.
Uh-oh.
Oh, that's not good, man. And Guerrilla Games are killing off servers for some of their games. Yep. Game preservation is not a thing.
No. This
unfortunately,
very
right?
related. Assassin's Creed Liberation is going offline, isn't it?
Yeah. So to some extent, right? What a world we live in sometimes. Scott, let's get into it as we get an early look the user experience for PlayStation VR 2, because I am pumped, dude. I'm super excited for this. Can't wait.
The more we see about PSVR 2, the more solid it looks. I'm looking forward to seeing how this gets into people's hands.
Yeah, absolutely. This was over on the PlayStation blog. The road to launch for PlayStation VR 2 is in full swing, and we can't wait for you to try the exciting new games and experiences you'll be able to explore with our next generation virtual reality headset. As we continue with our launch efforts, we'd like to offer a quick peek at some of the user experience features you'll discover on PlayStation VR 2. See-through view. Scott was there. With PSVR 2, you can see your surroundings while wearing the headset with our new see-through feature. It comes in handy when you want to easily check where the PSVR 2 Sense controllers are in your room without taking the headset off. How about
in my case, is that a cat? Did I just kick the cat?
Well, I was just like, well, how about the rest of I have a 1-year-old, he's like knee high. It'd be nice to see where he's at sometimes. Thanks to PSVR 2's embedded front cameras, users can press the function button on the headset or use the card on the control center to switch between viewing your surroundings or viewing the content on PSVR 2. The card in the control center also gives quick access to other PSVR settings, such as adjusting your play area. The see-through view is just for viewing only, so there's no recording option. Dude, this is cool, because right now when I have my Oculus Quest 2, I'm still calling it the Oculus. Dude, I'm still stuck with Oculus.
Quest 2. I'll never think of it otherwise.
No, right? So as I got it on, the only way to see my surroundings, from at least what I can see, is to actually go past the Guardian. You got to break my surroundings in order to see through that. Now, I bet you I'm missing something though.
I think you maybe, or it might be in my iteration. I have the Rift S, and I can just double tap the. I think it's a Rift button. It's been so long.
Yeah. It brings me back to the home screen though.
This little button right here.
Right.
And if I double tap that, it'll just switch over to see-through mode.
Oh, nice. I got to try that.
You're looking through machine eyes. It's black and gray.
Yeah.
It's really interesting.
Well, I think the PSVR 2 is still going to remain that way as well. And I think the next Quest Meta platform is going to have actual color, which is such a weird time. You remember black and white TVs, now color TVs, and now we're going back to black and white.
I actually do remember black and white TVs. As surprising as that may be, the first one I had was black and white.
Dude, they also have new features called Broadcast Yourself While Playing. A new broadcast feature for PSVR 2 will allow you to film yourself while playing. By connecting a PS5 HD camera to the console is a great way to show your movements and reactions during a boss battle and share your reactions with fellow gamers as it happens.
Okay, that's cool that it's built in there, because what I'm used to on the Rift, you can stream to Facebook directly. But
Yes.
there's no option to have a camera on yourself. I had to get very creative with OBS to do that.
Yep, absolutely. Been there, done that. It is, you do have to do some you gotta jump through some hoops in order to get there, right? I think that's the biggest thing. We're here because if you already have the PS5 camera, which I don't, I never went for the camera. I got the console and like I'm good. I don't need that
What about
camera
the
anymore.
PS3i?
Which, yo, I had the eye, man. They had it was like a pet game and stuff. These fuzzy things, whatever. It
Well,
was,
hey, that was Connect before Connect.
dude, it was cool back then, and I'll never forget it. They had a game called Sorcery. They gotta bring us something like that because it was so cool. Because you had move ones, you're stirring potions, and you to drink the potion. You're actually, it was pretty wild. It was fun. It was cool. But getting into the world of VR now with PlayStation and where they're heading, they've taken that toy mechanic and really enhanced it and bringing it somewhere else. But they've now incorporated the PS5 camera. And that's something I did not expect to happen here. I thought it was just picking up for the sensors on the headset itself and not actually relate yourself and bring it into a broadcast sense, which is pretty cool too, right? Would you use that feature at all though, Scott?
I'm actually pretty interested in that. Yeah, that kind of makes me think of that Live, Liv VR.
Yeah.
And those look really cool. And other than standing in front of a green screen, I'm not really sure how to get that done myself.
Yeah, I don't know if that would work here, right? Like, will PS5 have the ability to then do the chroma keyer to allow you to get that green screen effect and barely through it, right? I don't think they're going to go that far, are they?
If they did a VTuber kind of thing, I'm not sure if you've been aware of VTubers, but they use an avatar instead of their webcam. So if you had full body tracking on your motion, that could be really interesting. I can see how a lot of people would make something out of that.
Absolutely. And you can customize your player area as well. The play area for PSVR2 can be customized by using the PSVR2 Sense controllers and the embedded cameras. The cameras will allow you to scan the room, while the PSVR2 Sense controllers allow you to expand and further customize the play area to fit your playstyle and room environment. While playing, if you get close to the boundary you have set up, you will receive a warning that you are closely approaching the play area boundary, kind of like the Guardian in Meta is the Meta Quest, Oculus Quest, kind of in that sense, right? You can modify your settings at any time with the PSVR 2 is connected. Once you are set up for the play area, your settings will be saved unless you move into a different play area. Dude, the biggest feature for me for the Quest is it's wireless.
Yeah, that is a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
Can you map out your whole house then?
Dude, the cord's only so long connected to your PS5. You run into the kitchen, hang on, I'll be right back, I need a drink, and then you come back in. Whatever. VR mode and cinematic mode are a new feature as well. In VR mode, players can enjoy VR game content in a 360-degree view in a virtual environment. Content will be displayed in 4000 by 2040 HDR video format. 20 by 2040 per eye, which is fantastic, at 120 frames frame rate as well. In cinematic mode, Scott, you and I are talking about this off camera. This is actually a pretty cool thing, and you didn't quite understand it. You're like, what?
Yeah, okay. My thought was
which is fair.
Just to summarize it, if this is gonna play, what it is going to do is it allows you to go to your dashboard, watch different things in the VR headset, presented in front of you as if it were a screen. But my issue is, isn't that what I'm doing right now?
So that's okay. So in cinematic mode, players can view the PS5 system and UI and all non-VR game and media content in a virtual cinema screen. Content in cinematic mode will be displayed in 1080 or 1920 by 1080 HDR video format at a 120/60 hertz and also 120 hertz frame rate. So here's the big thing for me, because when you're on PlayStation 4 with your PSVR and you bounce out, go back to the main home screen, it's like all over the place, where I'm hoping the cinematic mode will kind of lock you in place. Right, so it is a cinematic screen you're watching, and you're not kind of traveling all over, because it really does bring in that disconnect in VR that you often feel and sense. So now it's hopefully just a screen, like you sit down, chill out, and allow you to move through everything a lot easier. If you want to go from one game to the next game, sometimes when you had to do that in PS4, dude, it was cumbersome to move, right? Because you're looking here, but yeah, the game screen's up there, and then you look and it pulls you out of everything. It was really and not the greatest experience, right? So there's a stepping that up now, and I'm curious. I cannot wait to get into this to see what they have.
I really hope there's some sort of a multiplayer kind of idea behind this cinematic mode. Can I observe your game? We're at quite a distance here, 45 minutes or more.
Sure.
I can't just jump on the couch. So can I jump in and observe yours as if it were a movie theater? Can we both hang and watch something? I don't know. There's a lot of possibility there.
Absolutely.
I'm thinking of VR chat on Steam.
Yep. PSVR2 game developers will begin to access the latest user experience for PSVR2 in a new system software release coming soon as part of the ongoing development. There are lots of exciting things to look forward to with PSVR2, and we can't wait to share more details about our next generation virtual reality headset that takes a dramatic leap forward in gameplay innovation. And of course, they'll be sharing more at a later date.
A dramatic leap forward, which makes me very excited about the Assassin's Creed VR.
Dude, you know what? It is a massive leap forward in technology from where it's kind of like going from PlayStation 1 to PlayStation 2. And even PlayStation, I would even skip PS2 and go to the PlayStation 3 experience, right? I think it's that dramatic from going from the original PlayStation VR headset to the sequel. And it's going to be an incredible experience. I'm definitely excited to see where we're going to go. We're just at a different point in technology as well. So there's a lot more that they're able to incorporate now where they launched. What really kind of felt like as a test run, right? The test bed for PlayStation VR. And is there a future here? Apparently they believe there is, and that's why we're getting a sequel. But dude, a lot to talk about in the future. When do you think we get the console or the VR headset in our hands, Scott?
I would have thought it was going to be towards the end of this year because just the amount of information coming out, the hype kind of behind it. But I think that's more of a slow maneuver. I would say middle to late next year is kind of what I'm thinking.
It sounds
if we pass the holiday season of 23, then I'll be very surprised.
Yeah, so you expect to see it before holiday season next year?
Yeah.
I definitely want hands-on. I want to see what we're getting into. I want to see the games. Show me Horizon Call of the Mountain. What more can I be doing in that game? Like, oh boy, please don't get me motion sick, Scott.
I want Days Gone 2 in VR.
In VR, yeah. Well, let's not get motion sick, but could be getting seasick. Some reports of Skull and Bones' own devs aren't confident about the game. Oh man,
no, that's not what I want to hear. After how long has it been? 3,000 days of development?
Something like that, right? This is over at PlayStation Lifestyle. Skull and Bones gameplay apparently won't offer much more than what Ubisoft has already showcased so far, according to, wait for it, some of the game's own developers. In a damning new report published by Kotaku, folks who have worked on Skull and Bones have said that they remain skeptical that it'll be the hit that Ubisoft needs it to be right now. So you might want to reconsider pre-ordering it. Yikes, dude! Right from the developers themselves. Statement. That is a massive statement for what you're considering your own game to be, right? Developers who spoke to Kotaku on condition of course, not being named, have said that although Skull and Bones development costs Ubisoft as much as any other blockbuster game, they are skeptical about its success given that there isn't much to offer beyond what's already been showcased. That sucks.
Yeah, I'm wondering why the stall, why the lack of confidence, and why is that all that there is? This game, did they really show their whole hand?
I can't believe it, man.
I'm wondering if it's just going to be patched in with live content, live service kind of video games. Is this the developers echoing my kind of concerns with live service games in a more dressed up way?
This is unnerving. This is what we're getting, man. That's what we saw, Scott. I was excited, but expecting to see more closer to the time, right? Quote, despite a bevy of resource gathering survival sim mechanics, they said each individual part of the game lacked depth, end quote. The website wrote in its report, Skull and Bones went through what seemed to be a never-ending development hell, and at one point, it was believed that the game will eventually be canceled. No kidding. Ubisoft surprised everyone when it announced a release date of November 8th, 2022, with a switch to current gen platforms, meaning PS5 and Xbox Series X and S. However, it is like the company would have more to lose if it scrapped the project entirely as opposed to releasing as it is. Dude, this well, here's it also continues though. Ubisoft troubles don't end there though. The company is going through cost-cutting exercise. We also know that Splinter Cell VR got cut, Ghost Recon Frontline got cut. And apparently, Scott, the latest now. What's worse is that the rumored Assassin's Creed Rift featuring Valhalla's Basm has apparently been delayed along with the Avatar game.
It is not a good season for Ubisoft right now.
Holy! Ubisoft is not doing well. This is not the 2022 they are envisioning, I'm sure. They've been stumbling around for a while, trying to find their footing once again.
If only that Ubisoft Quartz took off, we'd be living in a whole different future.
I
hope they don't double down on that now, actually.
Man, Breakpoint could have been something so much more. It's just been Ubisoft not really killing it lately, unless it's Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Yeah.
Right? Like, as far as anything new coming out, we talked about it just yesterday, how For Honor keeps pumping out one new hero after another, which is great, and it's fantastic over there. That game is a solid game, but when it comes to what are we playing next, well, we're getting Skull and Bones, but apparently even the dev team themselves aren't that confident in the future of it. Doesn't help that you released the day before God of War Ragnarok as well. Like, that right there is just squishing your game into the ground. It's just, dude, like, man, I don't know
what is going on in Ubisoft, and how do they pull this around? Because I think they will, but it's just going to take a couple of years, I think.
Well, it's time. Honestly, it really comes down to time, right? Ubisoft is a forward-thinking studio. I believe that they are a good studio. They produce some of the best games that I've ever played. Some of my favorite games. The fact that Splinter Cell still has not seen the light of day in decades, though, baffles my mind. But there are other things, like, man, they killed off Frontline because they switched it up so far. Where's X Defiant? That one now, which apparently I think has got a new name, and then another class of heroes or fighters or whatever we're getting with that game. Hyperscape just shut down. They canceled this game, they canceled that game, they canceled two games that weren't even announced yet. They delayed Avatar. Now they're talking about possibly delaying the next Assassin's Creed game, which was probably sounding like it was going to line up for this holiday season. Maybe that might not work now. We know they're working on Assassin's Creed Infinity, which is going to be their big games of service model for Assassin's Creed, which a lot of people are skeptical on that as well. Where's Beyond Good and Evil 2? Like, dude, the list goes on and on and on, and Ubisoft needs to figure out, dude, they have a ton of studios. Prince of Persia, another game delayed because it wasn't well received. Like,
it's really not looking good.
This isn't, dude, if you would have asked me a couple years ago if there would be such a troubled time over in the world of Ubisoft, I would have probably said no, just because they keep crushing things out the way they were and everything's getting so well received. And then as of late, last few years, it's not really been kind of living up to those expectations, right? And they just, the further we get along, the further we get into sinking waters with games like Skull and Bones, probably, which Nate right from the get-go says, I don't know. And even when we watched the stream, I was like, dude, this looks like it's like Black Flag back in the day when I played it.
It does look a little bit dated now, but that does make sense. It's a 8-year-old project so far.
Yeah, but then turn it around though, right? Like, it's been 8 years, which means now gamers have advanced. They moved on to new technology. We have new consoles now as well. So that means you got to step it up. If you're going to launch this game, bring it up to our current standards of where we expect to play our games at. And if you can't do that, then maybe they should have canceled this game too. I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to say what could have been or what should have been, but I'm hoping they reverse this kind of fatigue that Ubisoft has had for a couple of years now, and then they drop some really solid projects. Beyond Good and Evil 2, if that comes back, that could be what kind of brings the company back.
Could that save them?
A remaster on Splinter Cell?
Yeah.
Perhaps a remaster, remake on very early Ghost Recon. There is a way out of this, but I think it revolves around a little bit of gambling.
Well, and they also talked about all the post-launch. So they haven't talked about the content, just that they're going to have post-launch content for years to come. We'll see.
I think that's what Destiny said.
Well, now look at Destiny. It's massive. It's growing. But can they turn it around? Dude, Sea of Thieves launched and it was empty. Right? Everybody jumped on in the 1 week and we're like, okay, we've done it all. Bailed out. And now look at it. It is a juggernaut. 25, 30 million players. Like, it is huge.
Yeah.
And away it goes, right? So you never know. Never count them down and out. They could pull it around. But so far, the Ubisoft track record for the last, I'd say, 2 years? Not been good.
No. Just lackluster, if best.
I'm afraid so, right? So I don't know. We'll see if they can turn it around, but I think it sounds like we're now a couple years out from them flipping it around to the Ubisoft that we used to know of the past. Scott.
All right, Splinter Cell multiplayer. Bring that back. Let's do it.
Spies versus Mercs. It was incredible. I loved it. Blacklist. It was so good. Loved it. Yeah. Let's get into Guerrilla Games is killing Killzone by shutting down multiplayer servers for 2 games. Well, servers for Rigs is also going offline too. This goes over at VG 24/7. All things must come to an end. This time, the multiplayer servers for a couple of Killzone titles and Rigs Mechanized Combat League.
Now, was Rigs the game that I played over on the PlayStation VR at your house that one time?
You did.
Okay, because there's a huge amount of potential in that. PSVR2, I want to see that come back full swing.
Dude, it was so fast for me. I was like, whoa, I was going green. Because all of a sudden you leap up into the air and then you come back. Man.
It reminds me of the this old cartoon I used to watch, Zoids, where it was like an arena mechanized warfare thing. But, it was so good.
Well, Guerrilla announced on Twitter that online servers would be shutting down for a couple of Killzone games. On August 12th, online servers for Killzone Mercenary, Killzone Shadowfall, yikes, and more apparently as well. Rigs Mechanized Combat League will shut down too. Scott, we talked about this in the past. We talked about it a few times, right? If nobody's on those servers, why are you keeping them alive?
Yeah, it does represent some unused space at some point, but
yeah,
it's a shame because I don't know how old these games are now. Killzone Mercenary, that I'm not even sure I've actually seen that. That would be why. That's why I've probably never actually laid eyes on the game.
And Shadowfall was a PS4 launch title, I believe.
Oh, okay.
So the fact that anybody's still playing that game is kind of surprising, I think, at this point. If you're on there, like, you're clearly a diehard, which there's nothing wrong with that. And we all have heard kind of rumors, some rumblings maybe of another Killzone coming around, but they're clearly busy right now with Horizon. So we'll see if we ever see another Killzone. But Scott, let's move in quickly. We've got a couple more minutes. We have, I'm going to say we have 1 minute. Ready? Go. Immortal Phoenix Rising follow-up is reportedly a Polynesian-inspired spin-off. Yo, I'm down for this. This is over at VG 24/7. Another week, another drip from the leakiest faucet. Sorry, journalist around, Jeff Grubb, spotted over at VGC. This time, it's about the supposed Immortal Phoenix Rising sequel that was reported earlier this week. Except according to Grubb, it isn't actually a full-on sequel that's in the works, but a spin-off. Yeah, but here's what Grubb had to say. Ubisoft Quebec's sequel to Immortal Phoenix Rising is not a proper sequel. It's more of a spin-off. The production name of the game is called Oxygen. It's based in Hawaiian Polynesian culture this time around. It still has a god narrator. They try to still be visually stylized, but it's less of a copy of Breath of the Wild. Grubb also claimed that the game is currently in early pre-production and that he's seen some concept art, and he said it's coming maybe by 2025. So there is that.
Oh, that'll be interesting to see the kind of shakeup. It's like a similar game, but a different kind of mythos. That's cool. We've seen that work well in God of War.
Dude, Immortals Phoenix Rising was great until you got the final DLC.
That's what I hear.
Oh, I think
that may have been one of your lowest scores.
Well, they changed up the whole concept of the game. It was just one of the most bizarre moves. That was a whole spin-off in itself. So maybe they should have made that a game. And if that's what they're doing here, not going to go over very well.
Yeah, hopefully it lands a little bit better.
Scott, just like that, my friend, we're gonna have to wrap up today's show. Everybody, thank you for hanging out with us. This has been ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest gaming news. Of course, you can always join us live, but you can't join us live, hit us up later. InsideTheGame.ca, podcast services, TV streaming networks around the globe. I'm Drew, that's Scott. We'll see you tomorrow inside the game.